All right. And good morning. Good morning, Carol R. Good morning, Carol M. Welcome to today's CFC Live. And it's going to be all the way live today. I say that with confidence. Because in truth, it can't be any other way. Great to see you all as I continue to let others in. And I'm also impressed. I'll let Lonnie in first before I say this. There is Lonnie. Good morning, Lonnie, and welcome. And
Good morning.
I was going to make a statement. I said, well, we're going to wait till Lonnie gets in. I have already declared that today is going to be, since this is CFC Live, that it is going to be all the way live in this next hour. Uh, and I was going to say that I'm very impressed that people are showing up this morning because this is a shift in our normal session. And I'm glad that you guys got the memo, read the memo, and here you are. So it thrills my heart. You know, every other week at this time, this is so, I won't say special, but this is so real to me that we are conscious and aware enough to come together and leave the battleground, I guess you might say, as the course uses the term battleground to describe our human activity that sometimes gets us um, on a detour that we don't that we are looking for the next exit because we don't want to take that exit. And so, this course serves as a reminder. This time serves as a reminder for me and for all of us, and we need that reminder. Not every other Wednesday, but we need this reminder every moment, man. I'm telling you. And as I welcome uh, Diane into our presence, good morning, Diane. But anyway, hey, and before I get started, I wanted to a couple things that's going on. The CFC is sponsoring the summer 2025 version of the 40-day program. Sure, most of you have heard that is kicking off on tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I believe. And hopefully you have considered taking that journey. I'm going to take the journey. It'll be my fourth uh, journey around those 40 days of standing in truth. And hey, listen, what we ate last month, last week, and even yesterday, it is not going to nourish you today. We need fresh manner. We need a fresh purification, a fresh cleansing. Because just think about it. How many how many thoughts that we engage in one day? Well, let's just say 1 hour. How many thoughts that we might that is presented in our awareness uh, that we engage in 1 hour, let alone one day, let alone 1 month or 1 year. So just like we have to, or our intention is to, on the natural, to cleanse ourselves every day, to brush our teeth, to freshen our bodies, how much more is it necessary that we cleanse our hearts and our minds from the, from the things that have attached themselves to us, but at our permission, because nothing can attach to our thought life, our emotional life, our physical life, nor our spiritual life unless we allow it, right? Because we are the masters of our being. And so the invitation is out there. I was going to put the link in the chat just in case anyone was here and had not registered or is interested in looking into more information about it. Maybe by the end of this hour, I think someone's going to come in and support me. Maybe they can add the link. But anyway, hopefully you are there for that 40-day adventure. Highly recommend it. It's my 4th trip. I need it. I want it. And I think it's so timely. Who agree that it's timely, right? To put yourself in a space of reminder, a space of recognition. Because remember, the Course in Miracles says enlightenment or awakening is not an activity, but it's a recognition. When we but recognize or remember, as I let someone else in, as we remember who we are, right? And so the 40-day program is a great way for doing that. And it's within a great community. We have a great person, Lisa Natoli, that authored that program, and that's going to jump in and out there with some live Zooms throughout the journey to check in with us, right, to see how we're doing. So I'm happy about it. Also, what I did put in the chat is a link. Now, this link here is to my YouTube channel, right? And the reason I put it in here is because if you really want to, know how I express myself in spirituality, what the deepest thoughts and truths that I hold dear to my heart, you can go to my YouTube channel. There's over 600 videos there, shorts, lives. In fact, on my YouTube channel, I went through all 365 workbook lessons out of A Course in Miracles, and I did commentary on each one. Some of them took me 2 or 3 sessions to get through because the richness and the depth of the knowledge that is there. So I put that link in the chat just in case you want to go and if you go there, please subscribe. And I'm just creating it for the future. Because, if you're here now with me, you get to get it live, but like I'm putting something out there for generations to come, right? Because the world will go on even in my absence or your absence, right? And so we want to leave a legacy, right? We want to leave a legacy of truth. Leave a legacy of truth. So anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. So today, I'm going to get into something that, wow, I'm telling you, man, y'all bear with me. These are such great times that we're in. To be alive now and to see the transition, right? Because, depending on your perspective, the majority of people think that the world is in trouble. That's their perspective, right? Because their perspective is coming from the outside, coming from situations, circumstances, and conditions. That's where their perception is coming from, and it's not coming from a place of stability, or a place of truth, or a place of certainty. But the world is more so in transition than it is in trouble. if you understand what I'm saying. We are going through a transformation. The entire universe is going through a transformation, and we get to have a front row seat, right? We get to have we're not part of the great cloud of witnesses that they talk about, right? The disembodied beings, but we are embodied, front row seat, popcorn, Sprite, M&Ms. We're getting to watch the unfolding of love, right? We're getting to watch the world go through a metamorphosis. We were getting to watch humanity go through this universal healing, and we get to like just like front row seat, man. Now that may not have been your perspective when you came into here, but I'm sure um, this is going to make sense even as I get through today's this morning talks. And Lonnie's got a hand raised, so I'm not going to delay. Come on, Lonnie. I think I struck not a nerve, but I think I struck a chord there.
Accord,
Yeah.
ACCORD and ACHORD.
Yes.
And for me, it's the awareness of not witnessing it, because I am witnessing it, but of literally being it. You know, every time I show up here, every time I express in any way, I am it, as we all are. And to be aware that this experiencing is literally of the transition. Holy camole. That's the beauty for me. That's where, when all of that other stuff is going on out there, which is or is not going on, depending on what lens you're looking through, and I'm in this maintenance of vibration and awareness, it lets me understand what I'm seeing out there instead of hanging a label on it to say it's good or bad, right or wrong. Because in real transition, it's like the tilling of the soil, right? Where they do this, and pull all the weeds up and take everything out that no longer serves the soil
Yes.
and growth, right? So that's kind of what I've been seeing for a couple of years now as I've been tilling this soil right here.
So because it's happening on so many levels, right? And at first, and it cannot happen at all uh, unless it happens through the minds of humanity. So in reality, what is being pictured on the outside is a reflection of what has been in the heart of humanity. And like I know, you can't heal anything that's in obscurity. You can't heal anything that is hidden. It must come to the surface. It must come to the light. Right? The Course in Miracles says that our responsibility is bring the error to the truth. And so in this transition, in your personal life, in your relational life, right? In your mental life, your psychological life, in your relationships with others, right? In the communities that you find yourself in, be it, Center for Awakening or uh, um, whatever spiritual path you have chosen, the community that you physically live in, the state that you live in, or a country that you live in. And then on a broader scale, the world, we all live on this one planet. We're all sharing this one planet, right? And so this thing is happening at so many levels, but you cannot heal what does that you can't heal what you can't feel. And you can't feel, right, what is hidden. So it must come out. It's like when we look at childbirth, it's not a pretty thing, right? you, you know, it's not like, everybody experiences it's from one end of the spectrum to the other in childbirth. Pain, discomfort, uh, fear, apprehension, tension, uh, downright, let me out of here. All of that and so much more happens in childbirth. Not a pretty thing. But at the end of the transformation, at the end of the uh, purification, at the end of the process, there's this beautiful being, right? There's this amazing essence that stands before us. And so, likewise, as we are walking out our journey, as you've been walking out your journey, it has not always been like kumbaya, but challenges, misunderstanding, regrets. I mean, the whole gamut. We experience it all. I mean, that is the terrain that we're on. To come here, to come to planet Earth, to be embodied, right, and to get on this journey of discovery, it includes all of that, and none of us are exempt. And so, to be on the journey, not knowing, not understanding, not being awakened, not being enlightened, that's where we have almost like this nightmare of an experience. And that's why awakening is so important. That's why waking up is so important. And so, yeah, I think it's the most amazing time in the history of humanity. Even with all the destruction, even with, and by the way, let's pause right there. Because my brother and sisters that has had and is going through the trauma and the utter destruction that has happened in the state of Texas is not something that we would want for anyone, let alone ourselves. So we just pause right now and we hold a space for every family. We hold a space for every responder, paid or volunteer. We hold a space for all of those communities, right? Because it has a rippling effect. We feel that. And our hearts go out to that community. And even in that, consciousness is able to use that, spirit is able to use that to bring about an awakening in what remains. I've said it here 100 times that, like I can say it best, like the scripture says, that because of a lack of vision or a lack of knowing, the people perish needlessly. Needlessly. And so awakening is paramount in our purpose for being here, so that we can dissolve everything that is not lovely, everything that is not pure, everything that is not of a good report, everything that is contrary to our nature, which is love. And so we hold this space, not only for them, but for ourselves. Because when we realize that there's only one self, there's only one being, there's not a multiplicity of being as it may appear on the surface, but there's only one essence, and we all share that one essence. That's why Jesus said, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, because he realized as an awakened being that your neighbor or our neighbor is ourself, because there's only one self that we all share. Yes. And so it is. All right. So I want to open with this. Remember, our session here, for those that may be just jumping in for the first time, we're here. We've been sharing on the subject of you are the perfect creation of love, because I think it's an important subject, an important message, because from my perspective, it's the not knowing of this that is creating all the problems in the world. And it is the knowing of our essence is the solution to the one seeming problem that is out there. And so that's why I'm spending an entire year on this subject. But believe me, each time I show up, I'll come at it from a different angle, right? Because there's so many facets to this. And so as I continue to study this subject, I mean, this thing just continue to unfold to me. And so we've said two things. We've used the Bible, we've used A Course in Miracles and some passages out of there to kind of be the foundation for what we say. Remember what the Course says. The Course says you are the perfect creation, and you should not be at awe about anything. And we also said that in Scripture it says that be ye perfect, for your Father which is in heaven is perfect. And so when we talk about perfection here, we're not talking about performance. We're not talking about outward acts. We're not talking about anything that can be compared in the temporal. When the Scripture, even when Course in Miracles or any really enlightened piece of spiritual writing talks about perfection, it is talking about the our original creation. It even go beyond what we're going to learn today. It even go beyond our identity. Because if we're just focusing on just coming to know who we are, just that if we just say that identity is our lack of identity is the issue, it goes beyond identity. When we say identity, that's limitation. We're beyond identity. And so we're going to share a little bit about that today. But I want to start by reading here out of chapter 8 of A Course in Miracles. In the text, it's under the subject, the journey back, right? And then under section Roman number 1, it says the decision for the curriculum. It says, and I just want to read this. This kind of got into me today. It says, knowledge is not the motivation for learning. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning. It says peace is. And I mean, most of us have been conditioned or mentored to believe that, it is the knowledge that we're after, right? But here it says that is not the motivation for learning, but peace is the motivation. And I was thinking about that, and I was saying, yeah, that's correct, because I don't come here just to share a bunch of letters, knowledge, information, so to try to hype people up, but my goal is always, right, is peace, because that is what all humanity is in search of. Whether we know it or not, we're in search of peace, right? And so it says that knowledge is not the motivation, but peace is. And that peace is the prerequisite to knowledge. In other words, it said, and when it says knowledge, it's talking about not like information, but the knowing. It talks about your personal experience with life or with yourself. To know yourself. You remember the great poet that's in all of the ancient writing used and talked about that statement, to know thyself is the ultimate experience in life. And that's true. The experiencing of yourself, your true nature, which is love, right? Which is what we're talking about, the perfect creation of love. And so it says that this is the prerequisite for knowledge only because those who are in conflict are not peaceful. Those that are in conflict are not peaceful. We look at a world around us that's in what? Conflict. And the reason, according here, that the conflict is because of a lack of peace. And you don't get peace just by getting knowledge. In fact, if you take a look around you, you would say in the natural that the ones that appear to be in the most conflict, you would think that they would have the most knowledge because of their position in life. You would think, right, that just knowledge in and of itself would bring peace. It does not. But it is a prerequisite for peace, is a prerequisite for knowledge. And peace is the condition of knowledge because it is the condition of love. And so this, when I read this in my writing, in my studies, I'm like, okay, Blue. All right. So my mission when I come here, right, is for us to we may not come in peace, but at least we're going to leave in peace. Right. And what is peace? Peace is the knowing, is the experience of our true nature. It's the experience of our true nature, which perfect love is what the Course used to describe it. The Bible used it to describe it. And so what is in opposition to us embracing that reality, is the part of our mind that is not healed. What's the part of our mind that is not healed? The Bible calls it the unrenewed mind. Course in Miracles calls it the ego, right? So why would one oppose the knowing of themselves? Why would one oppose peace? All right. And so when we oppose it, then that means that we go on our own search to find it, right? And so we create a world, we create systems, and we create all of this, what we have done, all of us participated at some level, what we have done to create an alternate way to peace. And it ain't working, and it will never work. It has never worked, and it will never work, right? And so, yeah. So peace, like, in fact, the Course says the goal is peace. You remember in the introduction of A Course in Miracles, it says, nothing that is real can be threatened. Nothing that is unreal really exists. And then it ends with says, therein lies what? The peace of God. So peace comes, right? It's telling us right there. We don't have to, it's what? I don't know, 1,000 pages in this book. How many books? 66 books in the Bible. Any spiritual book we get, I mean, there's at least 100 pages. But we've complicated it that way. But it's really simple. You take those 3 lines out of A Course in Miracles, and that is all we need to know. That peace comes as a result of embracing only that which is real. That which is real cannot be threatened. That's why you hear me say all the time, nothing that we do in our human experience can change who we are. It cannot change our essence. It cannot change our being. We just align with what is truth and shine the light, or we misalign ourselves right? And create this or make up this false self, this I self, and we go through the pains of life. To eventually we say there must be a better way. This is not working. I know that's how it was for me. But anyway, so I want to read something here again. Are y'all with me this morning? I know I'm talking a lot. Okay. Oh, Carol, that's what I like, interaction. There you go, Carol. You was right on time. You can unmute yourself.
Good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
great to be here. Yeah, just what you were saying, it's just never gets old. To know what is, to know peace is to know self, and that can't be without knowing dis-peace. That's just the prior absolute non-experience from which everything arises, the unknowable, and it's just so incredible. Can hardly even, I can't put it into words, but it's just, yeah. And it seems to come down to that. So it's just, all of it is perfection unfolding.
Yes.
Even the hurt, all of it. I'll stop. Thank you.
Yeah, that is like even the knowledge of that is all part, is all part of, regardless of what it looks like on surface, it is all part of the perfection. It is all part of that which is real, right? Never stops unfolding until there's no more opposition, right? You know, I'm a golfer, and in golf, there's basically two kinds of grass, right? Now, hang with me. I'm gonna make sense of this. I'm gonna prove you. I'm gonna make your point, Carol. There's two kinds of grass. One grass is called Bermuda, and the other grass is called bent. Bermuda is a hot weather grass. Some of you may even have Bermuda out in your yard. And then bent grass is more like fescue. It's more like a cold weather grass. It thrives in, you know, mild temperatures. And so what they have done in golf over the years is that they have created what they call a hybrid. It's a hybrid where they take the mother plant and they split the, sort of like splitting the DNA. And in that splitting, they create two different new versions of the mother grass. They're called hybrids, right? And hybrids has only been around, so I don't know, maybe 30 years, right? So they're still researching it, seeing how it happens, trying to see how to care for it, you know, to keep it flourishing on a golf course, right? But the superintendent shared with me that because the grass we have here on our golf course is a hybrid, and has only been in place 20 years. And he's learning how to care for it as a 20-year-old hybrid versus when we first got it. And what he said to me was amazing. He said that the two split hybrids, one is called Champion, the other one is called Mini Verdi. He said these hybrids are always trying to revert back to what? Their original. They're always trying to find its original nature or essence or source or expression. Grass, no, this is what grass does when you tamper with it. And so that made sense to me, because hybrid is never comfortable in its essence. It's never comfortable in its nature. It's never comfortable in its skin, because it's outside of its natural habitat. And it's always trying to go back to its natural being. Now, that is a great metaphor for what you just said. That's a great metaphor for what's happening all around us. When I say this is the greatest time ever, that is what's happening. We are trying to go back to our original state of being, and humanity can't help itself. But the only way one can get back to its original, the experience of its original self, because its original self hasn't gone anywhere. They are that. We are all that. Nothing has really changed in essence, but our experience of it has changed. Why? Because we have split, like the Course in Miracles say, the belief in separation, which is a split, right? Right? Even our mind seems to be split. A part of our mind is loving, and there seems to be a part of our mind that is what? That is bent towards, unloving. Part of our mind is bent towards inclusivity. Then a part of our mind sometimes seems to be bent towards what? Exclusion. Right? Some parts of our minds, wants, to experience superiority. Parts of our mind want to experience what? Inferiority. So we got all of these hybrid things happening around us, where life itself is saying we're going back to the original, and humanity is resisting it. Right? And so that's what we see, the pain and the anguish. Even, the scripture says that all of the earth is in birth pain. Even the earth is looking to be set free from the separation that humanity brought upon it, from the abuse that we have brought upon it. Even the earth is looking for release from the imprisonment that we laid upon it, from our split minds, right? From us not walking in the divine self, walking in our divinity, walking in our purity, walking in our perfection. So everything has gone awry because of humanity. Right? We see the storms, we see all of the different things that are happening. It's just a reflection. None of it can happen without humanity's permission. It's a reflection of the transformation that we're going through, not the trouble that we're in, but the transition that we're going through back from the split from the original self and the made up self. Like the Course said, that which is real can't be threatened. That which is unreal doesn't exist. Therein lies the what? Therein lies the peace. So this must happen. This unfolding must happen. This cleansing must happen. And everything is going back to its original, which it never left. Because this journey that we are on, like the Course said, is a journey without a distance. This false self that we made, it has not changed reality. We are the perfect creation of love, and we cannot change that. Okay, Lonnie.
Almost, excuse me, almost as though that belief in separation that humanity has had, or much of humanity has walked in, kind of upset the ecosystem of this living, breathing earth organism that we live on. And what we're experiencing now is perhaps a reconnection of humanity as a part of the living, breathing organism, Earth, which is the expression of this energy in the greater sphere of things, for lack of a better term. And I say it that way because the work I do is with individuals. Excuse me. And I find myself talking a lot right now and having discussions right now a lot about that thing of we kind of choose our lessons in our life. But I talk about it from the sense of whatever that being is, whoever that being is, the courage of that soul, for lack of a better term, to take on certain trials and tribulations to learn through, learn from, or create movement through. Even with that person in the White House, the one way that I can carry that person in my heart is to recognize that the sacred being that that person truly is took on quite a courageous task to be, in many ways, the most hated and the most precipitating force to kind of participate at this time. And it's the only, I mean, I try to hold everyone in love, but especially that being, to me, if there's energy of hate going directly at something all the time, what can happen? But if energy of love can find its way in, then there's a way for that to grow. And I feel like that's what's happening too. But I'm going off track because my mind is working a mile a minute right now around this. But yeah, I was able to see that, I always see the earth as a living, breathing organism. And we're kind of like the freckles that are on our bodies, we're the freckles on the earth. And that belief in separation is like some part of our body deciding that it's not a part of us. But the journey back is the sweetest because we've experienced separation.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's good, Lonnie. That's good. Yeah. So like you hit it right on the head. So whether it's the one in the White House or the Blue House or the Green House or the crack house, because just think of the one in the crack house. They have such a low self-esteem of them, low, they have such,
Frequency and vibration in existence from
right,
where they are
where they
in the
are,
place of fear.
right, right. So there's no, like the Course says, there's no order of difficulty in miracles. The same pursuit of peace. They're just pursuing it in different ways. One is pursuing it in a controlling way. One is pursuing it in a submissive way. But they are the same. It's just the different form of the same ego idea of separation.
I think too, it also comes from what one's perception of peace is.
Absolutely.
Because when I perceive my perception is of peace is being free of fear.
Right. Yep. Well, just think about like our present day world is no different than the world that the incarnate Christ, Jesus of Nazareth, when he appeared on the planet, there was no different in thought, the idea and beliefs. You had the religious community that was laying the burden on the people, and they weren't even performing it themselves. We still have that today. You had a political government, the Romans, right, who were overtaxing the people, who were corrupt, right? Who used might and military force, right, to promote fear. I mean, it's no different. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same ego cycle just being but repeating itself. It's just that we're in a more sophisticated expression of it with technology, and that's the great part of it, right? Like it was done in those days, it was all localized. Everything was localized. You experienced it in your region, in your world, in your community, and you had no knowledge other than that. But now we're in a space and a place where technology has brought the world under one presence. There can be something going on, good or indifference, in the world. And by a click of a button, you can bring yourself into that situation in the moment, in real time. And that's the beauty of it. That's part of the unification that is happening. That is part of the transformation that is happening. That's all of that is being used, right? All of that. That's what I'm saying. This is the greatest time to be alive, to be experiencing and a part of this great awakening. And so what role, the question is, what role have I been called to play? What role have you been called to play in your life? Right? You know, the last chapter in the Course in Miracles says, choose once again whether you will take your place among the saviors of the world or remain in hell and hold your brothers in hell by not being an expression of truth, not being an expression of light, not being an expression of the perfect love that we share. And so we're all teaching something. We're all expressing something in our life, right? And so, oh, that's so good. Oh my God. But we've used, like, even today, like in our conversation, Carol has spoken, and Lonnie, and Carol M or Diane or anyone else that here, you're welcome to come on and share, or just to say hello. We love to see you. But how many times have we used the word be, or being, be or being, right? And so, like I said earlier, it's beyond just identification. Perfect creation is beyond just identifying who we are. Life is beyond an identity. It goes way beyond that. The formless and the infinite and the eternal has no definition. It has no identity. It just is. Like love, it just is. It cannot be defined. Because as soon as you put a definition on it, or even a term on it, or a metaphor on it, or a symbol on it, it puts limitation on it. And the essence of life, the essence of our being, is that it is limitless. And so I looked up the word being because it's beyond our identity. I'm taking this message of you are the perfect creation of love. It's beyond just who you are, but it is your being. In other words, the word being here, and this is still a limited expression, but it really takes us a little higher in our understanding. But it says being is the state or the quality of our existence. It's the very state of our existence. Being is the state or quality of our existence, or of existing, especially as it relates to one's true essence or one true nature. It's the quality of our nature. It's the quality of our essence. In a spiritual sense, being refers to eternal, changeless presence. Bill uses the word pure presence. That's where he gets that from. that you are. That our true nature and our true essence is changeless, is eternal. It is beyond form, it is beyond thought, and it's beyond identity. Now that blew me away when I saw it. It's beyond identity. So it's not just about knowing who you are, but it is about experiencing your true essence or your true nature, which is love, which is everything. It is your divine existence as one with God or one with divinity. It is the I am that is forever whole and complete. I love that. I love that because now it has taken my understanding and my focus even beyond identity. That what's really is at play here is the thing that has never changed, and that is our essence, and that is our nature, our being. Yes, we're called human being. That means the nature in essence. We have the nature in essence of a human, which has a birth date and an end date. It's temporary. People get depressed because they think that's what they are. That is very depressing to think that there is a beginning and there's an end, especially when your essence or your nature is eternal and timeless and formless and changeless and beyond thought and beyond identity. That's why the majority of, I would say, people are depressed because they're depressed about the idea of a beginning and an end. And in their true nature, in their true essence, there's this sense of eternity. But something is blocking that awareness, something is blocking that perception and keeping one from holding that about themselves, thus the lack of peace. The lack of peace comes from not having the direct experience of that being, of that existence, of that true essence, of that true nature, which is eternal, changeless, presence, formless, timeless, infinite. That's where we become uncomfortable in our very own skin. And that's very depressing. But that's only because we're still asleep to our own reality. Right. But now that we are awake, what does that look like to the awakened being? What does that look like to the enlightened one? Right. You look at what we would call all the enlightened avatars that have gone before us, like Buddha or Jesus, or even the current day people that we look at and say, man, this guy has really embraced his own reality, right? We see it in some beings, right? And so, but all of them have gone through the same journey that we're on, right? All of them. Because again, in the ego world, the split occurred. But in reality, like the Course says, it never happened. It's impossible. So we must be dreaming. We must be, in fact, there's a statement here that I read. It says the ego's voice is in hallucination. Right? So we're hallucinating when we are denying the true essence of our being. Not beyond identity, the true essence of our being. Because being has no limitation. Being it is what it is. I am that I am. Cannot be defined. Cannot be imprisoned. It is everywhere and everyone. It is everything. It is all in all. And we are that. We are part and parcel of that. And so what I did, I'm going to end today. I thought about, I come from a biblical background. I come from Christianity, so I love the Bible now because I look at it now through the eyes of my being, not through the fear-based theology that and the way it was presented to me. But I want to show you. I came up with, and I thought about it. I said, "Boy, it's right there in Scripture, especially in the New Testament, where it talks about be this, be that, be, right? So when it's talking about using the being is the root word of being. So we've been called to be, to express, we've been called to experience our true essence, our true nature. And we've been called to do that in the midst of all of this unfolding, in the midst of all of this healing that is taking place, all of this transformation, right? All of this transition that is going on. We get to sit front and center with our Coke and our Sprite, our beverage of choice, our snack of choice, right? And be right in the midst of it. And to notice what I said, and to be right in being right into and let that essence of who we are shine. Because that's what allows others, right, to have that moment where they discover who they are, right? And so let me share this list right quick. Carol's giving me a thumb up. Thank you. If I can share my screen, and I think I can. Oh, I think I can. Yeah. Can y'all see that? Can everybody see that? And so so here are 10 B statements in the New Testament that reflects our divine being. Number 1, be perfect. That's what we've been called to do. Be perfect. It says, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is perfect. That's in Matthew 5:48. This is not a demand for flawlessness, but a reminder of your wholeness. That you're already perfect, divine, that you're already perfect, divine nature shares with God or shares with love. Number 2, be transformed. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 2:12. Transformation is the return to your original being. Remember, we talked about those two grasses that got divided into a hybrid. It says transformation is a return to your original being, your original essence. As you release false thinking, your divine essence is revealed. It says, be renewed. Be renewed in the spirit of your mind and put on the real self. It says new self in Ephesians. I would say put on the real self. Ephesians 4:23 and 24. The renewal of mind is the undoing of ego and the recognition of your true being, your true essence, Christ self. It's just symbolic of our being. It says, be still and know that I am God. I am love. I am one. I am unified. This is from Psalm 46:10. It says, stillness is a portal to presence where you remember the being that is one with God, which is all of us. It says, be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another. Ephesians 4:32. And see, we can do this, but we get hung up because we've been taught that it is impossible to be perfect. It's impossible. You hear people say it all the time, oh, it's impossible. But it's impossible for you not to be perfect if you understand the essence of your nature, which is wholeness, which is divine completion, And so we can be all of this. You know, Jesus said, be perfect, even because I'm perfect. And because we are one, then you are perfect too. And so, again, not in performance, not in comparison, not in any earthly measurement, but this is talking about the essence of our being. It says, so we can be kind, even where there's not kindness towards us. We can be kind. It says, be strong in the Lord. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Ephesians 6:10. Your strength is not personal effort, but the infinite power of your divine being expressing in you and as you and through you. Number 7, be filled with the Spirit. Be filled with the Spirit, Ephesians 5:18. This is a call to abide in your true essence. The holy presence of Spirit that is yourself, that is the one self that we all share. Number 8, it says, be at peace. Be at peace among yourselves. Oh my God. That seemed like a foreign language right now, right? With all of the conflict and division all around us. And here it said, be at peace. It says, peace is the natural state of being. Remember, we say we come here not for knowledge, but for peace, because it is the natural state of being. To be at peace is to be aligned with who you really are. And then finally, number 9. But there's 10, only showing 9. It says, be found in him. Be found in him, that I may be found in him, from Philippians 3:9. It says, be found in Christ. Christ is symbolic of our being. Christ is symbolic of our essence. Christ is symbolic of our oneness and our unity and our divinity. It says, be found in Christ is to rest in your true identity. And then it uses the word sonship, or the Son of God. So I'm going to stop sharing. All right. All right. Well, our time is up, but hey, look, we're going to get a little bit more into that, because I want to elevate this message about perfect creation from identity to being. To being. You are the perfect being. And love is our nature. Thank you all so much. Again, you can click on the link here to really dive into all that I've done over the last 4 years as far as teaching. And the basis of my teaching comes from A Course in Miracles, but I'm not limited to A Course. Course is just what I prefer. It's like some of us like chocolate, some of us like vanilla. Some of us like white cars, some of us like black cars, some of us like, so we get to have our preference, but it doesn't separate us, right? We can have preferences that don't separate us. Thank you so much. Hopefully you get on the journey with us on the 40-day. It starts tomorrow at 11. I'm going to try to be on that call. Peace. Peace. Remember, peace. And there's no greater time than this time. We love you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.